Good morning. It's Sunday, November 24th, and today I want to talk about the war in the Ukraine. It's amazing that this war has been going on for almost 3 years, and now we have reached a different stage in the war. Because up to this point, the U.S. has been diddling around, so to speak, and refusing to give the Ukraine permission to use the weapons to their maximum strength. But all of that has changed. So now we have new weapons introduced into this Ukrainian-Russian war. These weapons will change the picture. And now Russia has stepped back and is sort of threatening some kind of nuclear response. And they are terrified at this point because of these new weapons that the U.S. has allowed Ukraine to use. Right? So this has been a major policy change by Washington, which for many months had refused to give Ukraine the permission to use the missiles that reached inside of Russia. The U.S., in an act of stupidity, would not allow the Ukraine to use the missiles that we were providing to strike deep into Russia. They kept those missiles under control and only use them within the boundaries of the Ukraine. Now I ask you, how can you win a war if you don't put heavy pressure on the opposition? And the only way to put heavy pressure on the opposition is to show them that you are capable of reaching into their territory and destroying valuable assets within their country. Now, it's a decision that was made in stupidity. If you're fighting a war, you have to prove to the enemy that you're willing to win. And winning does not mean we restrict the areas of the fight to a certain region. So that definitely is not the way to win this war. Anyhow, late last Sunday night, reports emerged that the outgoing U.S. President Biden had given permission to use longer-range ICBM missiles to strike targets inside Russia. That is a major, major change for Washington, which for months had refused Ukraine's request to use these missiles beyond its territory. And after the decision was leaked to the press, a volley of these new, very effective missiles were fired into Russia by Ukraine, into Russia's Bryansk distance. And the Kremlin said 6 were fired and 5 were intercepted. But U.S. officials know that it was 8 that were fired and only 2 were intercepted. Russia cannot afford to allow people to think that they are starting to lose this battle. So whatever the reasons, whatever the specifics were, this is a historic moment. American-made missiles had struck Russian soil for the first time in this war. And then on Wednesday, Ukraine launched missiles that were supplied by Great Britain, Storm Shadow missiles at targets in Russia's Kursk region, where the Ukrainian troops have seized roughly 600 square kilometers which is about 250 square miles. A patch of Russian territory. And then later on in the week, Biden added the final element of a ramped up weapons arsenal to Ukraine by approving the use of anti-personnel landmines. So now, on the verge of his retirement, Joe Biden has decided to really fight the war. And so he has added these simple and controversial but highly effective landmines to Ukraine's arsenal. They will be a crucial part of Ukraine's defenses on the Eastern Front. And it's hoped that these new landmines could help to slow the Russian advance. Now, these three decisions, which were made very swiftly over a few chaotic days, have signaled that the West is ready to support the Ukraine, because they will not allow the Ukraine to vanish. Now, because of this raise in the stakes by the Western allies of Ukraine, Moscow did something also. They threatened a nuclear attack of some sort. They said they were going to be deploying a new type of missile, the Oreshnik, and they were going to strike the Ukrainian city of Dnipro with that missile. So you see, this war is not nearly over just because we have upped the stakes. Russia has responded by upping their own stakes. So most observers agree that these strikes are sending a warning that Russia could, if it chose, use a new missile to deliver a nuclear weapon. And that's the last thing that anybody wants to see. Start a nuclear war of some kind. So who knows what's going to happen? And because of the Russian gestures, the U.S. must take this very seriously. And why? Why do Western leaders feel that they can even gamble on this kind of thing? Because China is somehow involved. And Beijing has become a partner of Russia. But China probably will not allow Russia to use nuclear weapons. So this is an interesting twist in the Russian-Ukrainian war. China somehow in the background, the U.S. pushing forward. What's going to happen next? Will there be a global conflict? Think about it. It's a wait-and-see situation. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.